Acts of the Apostles, chapter 7. Then said the high priest, "Are these things so?" And he said, "Men, brethren, and fathers, hearken, the God of glory appeared unto our father Abraham when he was in Mesopotamia, before he dwelt in Haran. And said unto him," so that's good information. Anytime anybody mentions Abraham, we always hear right? And then, of course, he traveled all around the place, but people just seem to remember that place. But there's a lot of stories. Remember when he had to pretend his wife was his sister to the Pharaoh so he wouldn't get in trouble? Just all kinds of weird stuff. He was all over the place. But he was definitely in Mesopotamia in Charan, Charran. Never heard of that one. And saith unto him, "Get thee out of thy country and from thy kindred, and come into the land which I shall shew thee." Then came he out of the land of the Chaldeans, right? That's Babylon. And dwelt in Charan. Maybe that's Canaan. And from thence, when his father was dead, he removed him into this land wherein ye now dwell. And he gave him none inheritance in it, no, not so much as to set his foot on. Yet he promised that he would give it to him for a possession, and to his seed after him, when as yet he had no child. And God spake on this wise, that his seed should sojourn in a strange land, and that they should bring them into bondage, and entreat them evil 400 years. So that's Egypt. That was the first case of that. "And the nation to whom they shall be in bondage will I judge, said God, and after that shall they come forth and serve me in this place." And he gave him the covenant of circumcision. And so Abraham begat Isaac, and circumcised him the 8th day. And Isaac begat Jacob, and Jacob begat the 12 patriarchs. And the patriarchs, moved with envy, sold Joseph into Egypt, but God was with him, and delivered him out of all his afflictions, and gave him favor and wisdom in the sight of Pharaoh king of Egypt. And he made him governor over Egypt and all his house. Now there came a dearth over all the land of Egypt and Canaan. It's Canaan, obviously, now. Well, he called it Charan earlier, but now it's Canaan. So the names just changed a little bit over time. And a great affliction, and our fathers found no sustenance. But when Jacob heard that there was corn in Egypt, he sent out our father first. And at the second time Joseph was made known to his brethren, and Joseph's kindred was made known unto Pharaoh. Right? Because they went back, they told him, go get the youngest, or maybe Benjamin was there the first time, but he said, just send him. Or something about Benjamin and go get my father. But he didn't say that. He goes, go get your father, so that he could show him he was still alive and doing really good. But when Jacob had heard there was corn in Egypt, he sent out our fathers first. And at the second time Joseph was made known to his brethren, and Joseph's kindred was made known unto Pharaoh. Then sent Joseph and called his father Jacob to him, and all his kindred 75 souls. So that's 75 people. You know what I just realized? Okay, I'm just going to leave it alone. So Yaakov went down to Egypt and died, he and our fathers, and were carried over into Sychem. Is that Shechem? Is that Machpelah? Machpelah? Because that's where they're all buried, right? Because Abraham was so smart to buy that grave from those giants who tried to keep telling him, you can just have it free, you can have it free, don't worry about it, don't worry about it. And they tried to do everything, went back and forth like 50 times. And finally he said, look, I am only going to pay a full going price, which would anybody else pay for this land. And that's how it's still there to this day. So let's see what he's talking about. And we're carried over into Sychem. I think that's Machpelah, they're going to talk about. And laid in the sepulcher that Abraham bought. Yep, see? That's Machpelah. So Sychem is Machpelah. That'd be a good picture. I think I've done it before, though. But it's very important that action, that Abraham bought that, because if he didn't do that, this whole thing would be messed up. Everything. Because it's still there till this day. Can you believe that? Yes. It's still there. No, they kept the Jews out for like a long time recently. Like until after, I don't know, and the English didn't help them. And they just let the Muslims take over, and then they could only go up 7 steps in near like the sepulcher, like to the on the outside of it. But now it's divided, and they each have space in there. And so this war thing is just, this guy, Scott Ritter, he talks about how Iran is so powerful. And it's not that, it's because Russia and all of these wars, going back to Vietnam, going back to, Russia just helps the enemy all the time, right? So this is just only going to be a war between the United States and Russia is what's happening. And they're already doing another war, right? But they are, it's their it's their jets that are being used in all these wars, supposedly, that we supposedly have with other people, but they're always protected by Russia. So everybody knows this. It's just, it's like, so when those people went into office, like 4 years ago, it was a mess. Like, it's like, it kind of seemed like a takeover. And what was the first thing they did? They left our troops in Afghanistan, or they withdrew in such a horrible manner, and they left billions of dollars worth of equipment there, and they withdrew just nasty, just so disrespectful. And now what are they doing, right? A month before the election, they're starting World War III. Yeah, for sure. Because, so, yeah, those people probably have nuclear weapons on their own, but Russia just completely is going to back them up 100%. So there's elections like a month away. So they're just trying to do something else like they just did the last time. But anyway, I don't know how I got on that one. But the sepulcher that Abraham bought for a sum of money of the sons of Amor, the father of Sychem. But when the time of the promise drew nigh, which God had sworn to Abraham, the people grew and multiplied in Egypt, till Another king arose, which knew not Joseph. Remember that? That was Nebuchadnezzar. He went through 3 kings. Oh, no. I'm sorry. That was Daniel. Excuse me. The same dealt subtly with our kindred and evil entreated our fathers, so that they cast out their young children to the end they might not live, in which time Moses was born, and was exceeding fair and nourished up in his father's house 3 months. Oh. So, I didn't know that part. 3 months he was with his mom and dad. And when he was cast out, Pharaoh's daughter took him up and nourished him for her own son. And Moses was learned in all the wisdom of the Egyptians, and was mighty in words and in deeds. And when he was full 40 years old, it came into his heart to visit his brethren, the children of Israel. After seeing one of them suffer wrong, he defended him and avenged him that was oppressed and smote the Egyptian. This story I never understood. I'm really excited to hear what it's going to say, because I never blamed Moses for doing that. And he couldn't see the promised land because he killed that guy. He was defending his people, and he killed that guy. He was just defending, like, that guy was getting beat and stuff, like they do to everybody. And I didn't understand. I didn't think that was a good enough reason. Let's see what happens. And seeing one of them suffer wrong, he defended him and avenged him that was oppressed and smote the Egyptian. For he supposed his brethren would have understood how that God by his hand would deliver them, but they understood not. And the next day he shewed himself unto them as they strove, and would have set them at one again, saying, Sirs, ye are brethren. Why do ye wrong one to another? But he that did his neighbor wrong thrust him away, saying, Who made thee a ruler and a judge over us? Wilt thou kill me as thou didst the Egyptian yesterday? Okay, now what is this saying in 26 and 25? For he supposed his brethren would have understood how that God by his hand would deliver them, but they understood not. For the next day he shewed himself unto them as they strove, and would have set them at one again, saying, Sirs, ye are brethren, why do ye wrong one to another? But, okay, here we go. He that did his neighbor wrong. Okay. You see that? So, that's the psychological tale of being guilty right there. Most normal people would see Moses doing that and be like, oh, right on, thank God he's come to deliver us out of this slavery. Oh, thank God, right? And they'd all be talking about it. Oh, thank God for that guy. Did you hear what he did? But this guy, I couldn't figure out, who's this asshole, right? Speaking up, right? What is wrong with him? But it says right here, he that did his neighbor wrong. So whenever you hear this kind of satanic negativity type questioning, right? It's from the guilty. So he was already condemned by God at this point because he killed that guy, which I didn't think was fair. And then it's like, who's this guy coming around saying, oh, you're going to do that to us too? Like a witness that saw it. Instead of saying, hey, thank you for helping us out. He goes, oh, what are you gonna kill us next? Right? And it always was like, what is that? And now at this point, if you really think about it, it's like, was it okay, first of all, right now it seems like, oh, is like an Antichrist type satanic spirit. And you're like, yeah, probably. But then you start thinking, and you're like, maybe God did it. Because, not did it, but he let that happen to have him remember that he's not God and he's not supposed to be killing. It's against the commandment. This is a really severe lesson, right? Because as you can see, the Jews had no problem brokering out murder to the Romans to kill Jesus Christ. So why is Moses in particular judged so harshly? And he never got to go over there. But look, at least we can learn that this guy who opened his big mouth and said, hey man, are you, and so saying thank you, we all thank you for this, praise the Lord, right? He goes, oh, you're gonna kill us like you killed the Egyptian yesterday? He killed the guy that was beating his brothers, right? He killed this slave driver, predator, that was beating on Moses's all the Hebrew slaves. And Moses like had it in his heart, and he's realizing, I'm Hebrew, right? And it's like he had like a visceral reaction to watching him get beat, and he just killed the guy. Who wouldn't? And then it was like, who is this guy opening up his fat mouth? And why? Why do we have to hear about this? And so think about it. It has nothing to do with the devil. This guy, this was God, like, putting him there to like, be like, hey, Moses, you're not all that, right? It's really mean, to be honest. And he's letting him know, and the lesson is really harsh. He can't go into the promised land. It's like he's not followed that commandment. It's severe. Everything, all these miracles, all these things he does in his life, he just broke that one commandment. And thank God for this book of Acts. Look, we're being reminded of it. And look how easy these Jews, though, it's okay for them to collaborate, to conspire, for them to gang up, every last one of them, and to do the same thing, but not a man of our God. Even Moses couldn't even get away with one murder. I think it's kind of unfair. But it doesn't matter what I think, because it had to happen this way, or nothing else would have happened, right? All right. But he that did his neighbor wrong thrust him away, saying, who made thee a ruler and a judge over us? This guy right here. Wilt thou kill me as thou didst the Egyptian yesterday? What a complete snitch. He's going to get everybody killed, right? Anyway, then fled Moses at this saying, and was a stranger in the land of Madian. It's Midian, though, right? They say everything different, because it's a long time after now. When he begat 2 sons. And when 40 years were expired, there appeared to him in the wilderness of Mount Sinai, Sina, right, which is Sinai. An angel of the Lord in a flame of fire in a bush. So he's like 80, right? So he was like 40 at this time when he was in Egypt. And when he was full 40 years old, it came to his heart to visit his brethren, the children of Israel, right? And then when 40 years were expired, so he should be like 80 around here. Is that what we're trying to understand? I mean, that's what's being expressed? Okay. And anyway, he only killed this guy when he was 40. Anyway, There appeared to him in the wilderness of Mount Sinai an angel of the Lord in a flame of fire in a bush. When Moses saw it, he wondered at the sight, and as he drew near to behold it, the voice of the Lord came unto him. I just realized something. I wonder how the Jews argue with this particular chapter and if they agree with it or not. And I wonder why or why not. I would like to look this up because this is explaining the Torah, right? And what problems do the Jews have with this? I want to know. Let's see here. When Moses saw it, he wondered at the sight, and as he drew near to behold it, the voice of the Lord came unto him, saying, I am the God of thy fathers, the God of Abraham, and the God of Isaac, and the God of Jacob. Then Moses trembled, and durst not behold. Then said the Lord to him, Put off thy shoes from thy feet, for the place where thou standest is holy ground. I have seen the affliction of my people which is in Egypt, and I have heard their groaning, and am come down to deliver them. And now come, I will send thee into Egypt. Oh, you know what? No, I made a mistake. I don't think he was 80. I think it's like, and when 40 years are expired, it means he's like 41, maybe. Why does he have a beard in all those TV shows? I don't know. It's something to study, but at least they are remembering this and they are expressing that this is the story they hold, right? Right? They hold it so much, right? That look, it's in this book, right? It's the Torah. The Torah is in this book that we're reading from. It was the first 5 chapters of this book. Okay. Because Moses wrote it himself. Okay. But look, he couldn't even go into Canaan because why? Because that's one guy when he was 40 years old. Oh my gosh. I have seen the affliction of my people. Okay, blah, blah, blah. I'm getting really confused now because it's when he got to Mount Sinai, right? He was already in the desert. He was in the desert for 40 years, right? Okay, I think this is when he's coming out of the... Why does it say, and when 40 years were expired, there appeared to him in the wilderness? Okay, he's not 80 yet. I think he's just 40. And this is when he takes the Jews out of Egypt, right? He leads them out, right? But where is this whole thing about this plague? Hold on, I'm really confused. I'm just going to read it and shut up because, look, it's 23 minutes. This is a long chapter. It's not my fault. You're right. It's all my fault. Okay. I've heard them groaning and come down to deliver them, and now I will send thee into Egypt. It's like, what are you talking about? Going back into Egypt? What is going on here? With this story they're telling, this timeline is strange. This Moses, whom they refused, saying, Who made thee a ruler and a judge? Oh, yeah, that's their own people. You know who said that? The Hebrews. That's just to show what nasty, hard-hearted people they are. Why would this story even be here? It is so mean. It is so hateful. Right? Okay. The same did God send to be a ruler and a deliverer by the hand of the angel, which appeared to him in the bush. Oh my gosh. So they're bringing up this guy's statement again. Wow, it's all about this guy's statement. I never understood it. I'm so glad they're talking about this again. They are enforcing how hard-hearted the Jews are saying this. Because God basically said, remember, he's telling who's ever expressing this right now, the Acts of the Apostles, whoever wrote this, he's like, oh yeah, don't forget that guy, right? Don't forget to bring that back up again. Because, yeah, You know what happened to that guy? That's exactly what happened. He said, who made thee a ruler and a judge over us? God. Yeah, God did. Because your big mouth and your statement, and now he can't even go into the land of there because that's not why, because he saw it. He's just responsible for the murder. But this guy in his mouth, boy, I tell you what, he brought them out, and after that he had shewed wonders and signs in the land of Egypt and in the Red Sea and in the wilderness 40 years. Okay, so he's putting all the like the plagues when he was in Egypt and parting the Red Sea and the manna from heaven in that 40 years, right, of Exodus, right? Okay. This is that Moses, which saith unto the children of Israel, a prophet shall the Lord your God raise up unto you of your brethren, like unto me, him shall ye hear. This is he that was in the church in the wilderness with the angel which spake to him in the Mount Sinai, and with our fathers, who received the lively oracles to give unto us. That's kind of a weird thing to say, lively oracles. I don't know who translated that, but it sounds kind of Kabbalistic, but anyway, you know, lively oracles, like what, like the water into wine thing, probably like things like that, not divination type things. That word oracle, it lends itself to like divination and things it should not be doing, but it's seen only in the light of the miracles given from the Father. Okay. To whom our fathers would not obey, but thrust him from them, and in their hearts turned back again into Egypt, saying unto Aaron, make us gods to go before us. As for this Moses, which brought us out of the land of Egypt, we wot not what is become of him. And they made a calf in those days, and offered sacrifice unto the idol, and rejoiced in the works of their own hands. That's what we just saw at the Olympics. Why do the Olympics make a golden calf like that? It's a direct insult to God. There's no other reason to do something stupid like that. There's no other reason on the face of the earth. Okay. Then God turned and gave them up to worship the host of heaven, as it is written in the book of prophets. O ye house of Israel, have ye offered to me slain beasts and sacrifices by the space of 40 years in the wilderness? Yea, ye took up the tabernacle of Moloch, and the star of your god Remphan, figures which ye made to worship them, and I will carry you away beyond Babylon. Right? It happened again. He got out of Egypt. Now I think he's talking about they came back and they didn't worship the right God. They took up the tabernacles of Moloch and the star of your god Remphan. And unfortunately, it does kind of point to that is the hexagram, the six-pointed star. This has been worshipped since the beginning of time because there's a cube on one of the poles of Saturn, and there's like a storm, and in that storm is a cube, like a Kaaba stone, this Saturn worship, and it's a hexagram, and like the Seal of Solomon is also a hexagram, and it's a divination thing, and it probably should not be, you know what, used as it is right now, but anyway, I digress. And I will carry you away beyond Babylon. Our fathers had the tabernacles, our fathers had the tabernacle of witness in the wilderness as he had appointed. Remember, that's when God told him to create that tent. And that's where it started. That's where it all started. And that's where, right, they were guided by the cloud by day and the fire by night from the Lord, telling them where to go and stuff, right? It was guiding them. And they set up their tents, and they set up what God told them to set up in the tent. You know what it was? It was this. It was those 10 commandments were in there. Also, a few other things, a few other items. And you know, also it was made the Ark of the Covenant, and which holds the 10 Commandments. And there's like a couple other things. Aaron's staff, maybe? I don't know why Aaron's staff, but something, I forget. There's like 3 or 4 things. But anyway, he's mad now. He's talking about he's going to have to eat. They're expressing how they went to Egypt. Now he's talking about Babylon. Let's see. Our fathers had the tabernacle of witness in the wilderness as he had appointed. Right on, in the tents, right? Speaking unto Moses that he should make it according to the fashion that he had seen. That's right. That's right. And Deuteronomy and Leviticus explain everything about that, and about making the ephods, the breastplates, the clothes for the priests, the way they should approach the temple, right? And all the laws and ordinances, right? That Jesus, you know, pretty much said, you know, that's done and over with. Which also our fathers that came after brought in with Jesus into the possession of the Gentiles, whom God drave out before the face of our fathers unto the days of David. Okay, wait, let's read this. He should make it according to the fashion that he had seen, which also our fathers that came after brought in with Jesus into the possession of the Gentiles. I'm not sure what they're talking about here. Whom God drave out before the face of our fathers unto the days of David. Oh, I think he's just talking. I think they're talking about that the Ark of the Covenant was eventually taken by Nebuchadnezzar in, well, at first he didn't touch it, which was really weird, right? And I was like, wow, he's touched by God. He's a good guy. He didn't touch their stuff, right? But at some point, he demanded somebody go back and get their stuff. And that's the last you ever hear of it. And this must be what they're talking about. Which also our fathers that came after brought in with Jesus into the possession of the Gentiles. So like Jesus... okay, I'm not going to go there. I have to get this over with. Okay, 33 minutes. Who found favor before God and desired to find a tabernacle for the God of Jacob. But Solomon built him an house. Howbeit the Most High dwelleth not in temples made with hands, as saith the prophet. Heaven is my throne, and earth is my footstool. What house will ye build me, saith the Lord? Or what is the place of my rest? Hath not my hand made all these things? Ye stiff-necked and uncertain.